They get free phones, uniforms, and houses. Why can't we, despairing parents in England's poverty capital, bemoan golden treatment of asylum seekers while they scramble to survive on universal credit? Parents living in England's poverty capital have bemoaned the treatment of asylum seekers getting handouts while they struggle to survive on universal credit with a 2-child benefit cap. In Newport, Middlesbrough, 6 out of 7 children are currently classed as living in poverty, meaning their households have an income that is 60% less than the national average. Residents Lee Stevenson and Gemma Grafton, who welcomed their 3rd child IV 3 months ago, said they struggle to afford to cover even the basics, such as food and clothes, each month. Yet they have been left furious by what they see as free handouts to migrants and asylum seekers, many of whom arrive in the UK by small boat. I think a lot of people's backs are up because they get the food vouchers, they get the free mobile phones, free school, uniforms, driving lessons, houses. Ms. Grafton said, "It's sort of like a kick in the teeth to think, well, why do we get none of that? Why are they getting it all?" Although Mr. Stevenson is employed, they still receive universal credit and say that lifting the 2-child benefit cap would make a real difference for their family. "We don't seem to have enough money some months to cover the basics that you need," Mr. Stevenson told Sky News. "It would be nice to have a constant full fridge of everything that my kids want, full cupboards, all the snacks, and just be able to say we're going out for a day now. We'll go out and have a fun day out." Ms. Grafton added, "Having to tell the kids to take it easy, that's not nice. When the kids are just wanting to help themselves to get what they want, and we have to say, try and calm down on what you're eating, because we haven't got the money to go and get shopping in until we get paid. That's quite hard." Under current legislation, asylum seekers who arrive in the UK are given a basic weekly allowance and housing, typically in hotels or other temporary accommodation. Once they have been granted asylum, they must move out of their initial housing, but can then apply to their local council for help. Some councils allow them to apply for a school uniform grant, typically £100, for children, as well as providing driving lessons for young people who arrive in the UK unaccompanied. Mobile phones are not provided by the government, but charities such as Screen Share do source devices for asylum seekers. Meanwhile, Mr. Stevenson and Ms. Grafton say that their unexpected 3rd pregnancy left them struggling to make ends meet. They live in one of the most deprived areas of the country, with more than half of children across the whole of Middlesbrough growing up in poverty. The 2-child benefit cap meant that despite having an additional member of the family, their universal credit payments did not increase, leaving them facing desperate choices. Ms. Grafton said, "Everything had to be bought all over again, didn't it, because of such a huge age gap to our other children. So you don't realize that having to start from scratch, buying a baby everything that they need, it's pricey." She continued, "Obviously we have to buy all the stuff, so we had to pay half of the rent one month, just to make sure we had the money to cover us. It's stressful because if you get into arrears with your rent, they're on your case, threatening you with court, losing your house. So there is the worry of that." Nigel Farage Reform UK today accused Rachel Reeves of treachery for spending extortionate amounts on foreign nationals ahead of the budget later this month. Ms. Reeves is expected to use her budget to freeze income tax thresholds, impose a new mansion tax on the most valuable properties, and charge electric car owners for every mile they drive. But Reform is accusing her of de facto tax hikes and is calling for measures such as all but ending foreign aid to fill the so-called black hole in the UK's finances labor that was left behind by the Conservatives. It comes as the government yesterday set out a raft of new policies aimed at reducing the number of asylum seekers and migrants who come to the UK, but with them yet to be implemented. For Mr. Stevenson and Ms. Grafton, the announcement does nothing to relieve their financial burden. "I dread to think of the future for my kids. It's going to be 1,000,000 times worse if the country keeps going the way it is now for my children, and also for me," Mr. Stevenson said. While struggling families are hitting out at the funds spent on asylum seekers, in government the pivot toward harsher immigration rules is already dividing the Labour Party from within. The proposals include seizing the assets of asylum seekers and forcing people to wait 20 years before becoming eligible for permanent settlement. They would also only guarantee asylum seekers residency in the UK for an initial 30 months, before their status and the safety level of their country of origin is reviewed. The government hopes this, as well as a rumored increase in payouts to those leaving the UK, will see more asylum seekers return to their home countries rather than staying indefinitely in Britain. The latest Home Office figures show 111,084 people applied for asylum in the UK in the year to June 2025. This is the highest number for any 12-month period since current records began in 2001. And almost 40,000 people have arrived in the UK after making the dangerous journey across the Channel since the beginning of the year. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood set out her plans in the Commons on Monday and fiercely rejected claims from her own party that she was trying to out-reform, telling visceral stories of her own experiences of racism. I couldn't care less what other parties are saying. There's a problem here that needs to be fixed, she added, defending the policy shift this morning. Cabinet Minister Steve Reid said that every single Labour MP was elected on a manifesto commitment to secure the UK's borders. He backed a controversial element of the proposals that could see the deportation of families, including children who have been denied asylum in the UK and refused payments to return to their home countries. Stressing that families would not be separated, he told Times Radio, "We know that we need more safe and legal routes so that families who have the right to come here and seek asylum can get into the country, but we can't continue to allow incentives to exist that result in children drowning in the Channel." Mr. Reid would not say by how much the cash incentive encouraging them to leave might rise, noting it was subject to consultation. Currently, the payments are capped at £3,000. He continued, "I think it's perfectly reasonable to give people financial support to make the journey back to their home. In the long run, it's cheaper for the British taxpayer to do that.